Welcome to The Brain Changers, a podcast about learning how to revolutionize the way you think and live by mastering your mind. We're your hosts, mother and daughter duo Rebekah and Yvonne King from Moonbeam Monday. Our goal is to empower you to live the life you choose by teaching you how to retrain your brain. Some people tell us it sounds like mind control, and it is, but not the way you might think. This is about you taking control of your own mind rather than letting your mind control you, so you can choose to live a life free from the expectations of others. No matter what you've experienced in the past, you can create positive change and transformation by learning how to master your mind. We know this because we've done it. Between us, we've survived cancer and stroke and eliminated debilitating anxiety and depression. We've turned our pain into purpose through the power of our mind, and we're now here to support and guide you to do the same. In this podcast, we share valuable insights about how your brain works, why you think, say, and do the things you do, how to begin the process of change, and why it's necessary. Because we know that when you change your mind, you change your life. Thanks for joining us. Let's go. Hello and welcome to episode 7 of The Brain Changers. I'm Rebekah, and of course I'm here with Yvonne also. And today we're diving into a topic that is really at the heart of transforming your life, and it's a big one. So we're asking, are excuses holding you back from getting results?
Hi everyone. I'm really excited about this topic also because it really is a game changer. So let me begin by asking you this. Do you ever find yourself making excuses even for small things? Things that you know would make a positive difference in your life? I think if we're all honest with ourselves, we'd all have to answer yes to at least one thing in our life that we could change. So you're not alone. And this is what this topic is all about today, cause versus effect. But what does it mean to live at cause or to live in effect?
Yeah, that's a great question, because probably those words cause and effect aren't going to mean a lot to anyone just yet. But of course, at the core of this, we're really talking about taking responsibility, aren't we?
We are, yes.
So the concept of cause and effect, what it suggests is that for every cause, a specific effect or result occurs. Or if I'm going to simplify that, I'm going to say for every event that happens, you get a result. Okay? Something happens, you get a result. So those who choose to live in the effect side of the equation often feel like life's happening to them. So you might hear them saying things like, it's not my fault, or I don't have control over this situation. They tend to blame others, or they'll blame circumstances or external factors for their lack of success or perceived lack of success. So they're typified by telling you that life is happening to them.
Yes.
And why they can't get the results in their life that they'd like. So, you might hear, oh, why does this always happen to me? Or these things always happen to me. Typical. And we might even hear them complain about how unfortunate they are, or how people do things to them. They even say, oh, you're so lucky. Oh, those things never happen to me.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Or make them feel a certain way, like they think other people make them feel a certain way, or that it's not their fault that something's happened. And it could just be that they feel they simply don't have control over a situation. And there's lots of factors that come into play there. They could think that it's their upbringing, or the country that they were born in, or the fact that their boss doesn't pay them enough.
Yeah.
That there's not enough jobs going around at the moment. So blaming circumstances, or even blaming it on bigger things like the economy or climate change or global warming, or even something as simple as their ex. It's my ex's fault. So they feel that they have no control over these things or these people, and therefore they have no control over their life.
So really what you're saying, Beck, is that these are all just excuses, really, aren't they? I don't have what I want in my life, or I can't get what I want in life because it's someone or something else, something that they feel that they can't control. So to sum up, just excuses.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So, okay, what's on the other side of the scale here then when you talk about cause?
Yeah, okay. So on the other hand, those who are living at cause act as if they're responsible for the outcomes in their lives. So they take responsibility for their actions and for the results that they get. So if something isn't going how they want it to go, they take action to change the outcome. They don't just let it go and to see what happens. They go, this isn't going the way that I want it. What can I change? How can I take responsibility to get a different outcome? So let me give you some examples of people that you know, or at least you know of, you've heard about them. So think of people like Richard Branson or Tony Robbins, Oprah Winfrey, Nelson Mandela, even Mother Teresa, all names that you've heard of, right?
Sure.
Now, if you know much about their stories, what they've encountered as a child or even as a teenager or an adult, many of them have experienced horrendous things or horrendous conditions or just difficult things and times. So it would have been easy for each of these people to say, it's outside of my control. Something terrible happened to me. I can't change this, and this is how it's affected me. But each of them, instead, somewhere along the line, has taken responsibility for themselves and instead asked, what can I do to change this situation? So each of them really is a great example of people at the cause end of this equation. Is, because each of them have chosen a path that meant they were responsible for their actions. They lived at cause, and as a result, they achieved, or they're still achieving, great things.
Okay, absolutely. So simply put then, when you live at cause, you're actually able to get results. When you live in effect, you create reasons or excuses for not getting results. So it's either one or the other, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's all about taking responsibility for your life and your choices. For example, if something isn't going the way you want it, you can take action to change the outcome instead of blaming external factors.
Yes, that's so true. And actually, I want to say here also that it doesn't mean that we're always living in one or the other for every part of our lives. So we may be living at cause for the majority of our lives, but there's certain things in our life or certain situations that we're perhaps living in effect, and vice versa. And this is going to change throughout our lives as well. And you mentioned, and we said this before, we mentioned excuses. So let's just talk about the difference, because I know that this question will be coming up for a few of you listening. Let's just talk about the difference between an excuse and a legitimate reason, because I know that this comes up a lot. So I hear people saying, Beck, sometimes there really is a legitimate reason for me not to get these results, or that I can't get the result that I want. And granted, that is true. So to explain this, I'm going to actually use an example. And this example comes from a woman named Lisa Bilio. Some of you may know her, and she was on the Jay Shetty podcast. It's a while ago, so it's not one of the recent podcasts. But Lisa tells her story, and she says, I dreamed of making movies. She and her husband moved to LA. Her big dream was to make big budget movies, but she kept putting it off, saying, we don't have the money. We don't have the money to make movies. And it was a valid concern, obviously, because it takes a lot of money, as far as I'm aware, in Hollywood to make a movie. But when she drilled down, she realized it was an excuse. She realized that she could actually start small by making a short film on her iPhone. So, in fact, any of us could make a short film on our iPhone. We've all got a phone, right? So we actually all have the resources to make a film. So when she drilled down, she realized that it wasn't that she didn't have the money or they didn't have the money to start making movies. She just needed to switch that around. So instead of having an excuse, she was able to change that. It's just one very small example of how you might turn that around.
Yes, so then it's really all about perspective, isn't it? And taking the first step, no matter how small it is, or in other words, taking some action.
Yeah.
If we wait for perfect conditions, we may never start anything.
Yeah.
Let's face it. Let's break that down, say, with a personal example. Say my goal is to become healthier, fitter, and stronger, for example. I've got to follow a specific routine. Like I've got to get up earlier in the morning so that I've got time for a morning routine. I've got to eat nutritious meals and I've got to incorporate exercise into that.
Yeah, exactly. And that sounds, if that's your goal, that sounds like a really solid plan. So it's important to note that planning and accountability play huge roles here. And we all know that. We all know that in order to achieve a goal, we need to plan and we need to stay accountable. So, you know, what you've just said in that particular example, what you've done is you've created a schedule. You're probably going to set alarms to tell you when to do these things or to remind you. And you might have even involved other people like a PT or a friend or someone like that to help you stay accountable. So these are really practical steps to ensure that you stick to your goals.
Yes.
But despite taking all these practical steps, because these are all practical steps, I know that many of us still find it hard to do. You know, even when we follow the above steps, because, and here's the clincher here. Hey there, listeners. This is Rebekah King, the Brain Changer, helping you revolutionize the way you think so you can live your life on purpose. If you're loving what you're learning here on The Brain Changers, we've got something special for you. Take back control of your own mind and truly connect with like-minded people by joining our Mind Masters Collective, a premium subscription membership for those who want to feel happy and confident again, to feel seen, heard, and valued at an incredibly affordable price. Inside, you'll gain exclusive access to a supportive community of people on the same journey as you, knowing they want something more and ready to invest in themselves to achieve it. You'll get loads of valuable resources and expert guidance on mastering your mind to help you live your absolute best life. You'll make new connections and friends that you didn't even know you needed. We'll get close and personal in monthly masterclasses with guest experts and monthly mastermind group coaching to help you navigate the challenges and celebrate the wins as you grow and change. Join us now by clicking the link in the show notes. We're all waiting excitedly for you to join us inside the collective. That plan is lacking detail.
Right.
So it's a great overview, but there's not enough detail there. So your intentions are good, but if this is all we've got, we might find it very hard to follow because there's not enough information there yet.
Right. It's about committing yourself and taking actionable steps to actually reach your goals. And this can actually feel quite uncomfortable initially, but we have to remember that it will be worth the results that we can achieve by doing so.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing with growth, personal or professional development or growth, whatever you want to call it. It's change, isn't it? And change is uncomfortable because our brain is wired to keep us comfortable and safe and ultimately to survive. And I think it was actually Lisa Bilio who posted that quote that I love so much that says something like, I'm changing and it's uncomfortable.
Yes.
But it's uncomfortable, but I'm changing, you know.
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah. So let's just keep with this example that you mentioned so that we can demonstrate on how to drill down and flesh out a strategy that can work. So this is the type of work that we do with our clients, of course, in coaching, because sometimes we all need a little bit of help to shift our perspective or to see something from a different angle. So let's help you drill down with this one.
Okay.
So the strategy might look like this. First of all, you might start by visualizing your goal. Now, your mind is incredibly powerful. So if you can actually visualize your end goal, you're actually more likely to achieve it. So when you're visualizing it, what is the end result? What do you see? What do you hear? What are you saying to yourself, or what are other people saying to you? What does it actually mean to you to be healthier, fitter, and stronger? Because, of course, your interpretation of that might be very different to my interpretation.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, so we're asking ourselves all of these questions, and we're being very specific with our answers. So what we need to do is we actually need to write this down as well. It's not enough to just keep this in your head. Of course, visualizing, yeah, we're using our mind. This is in our head. But we need to write the specifics down. And there's some very, very compelling statistics around people who set goals and then actually write them down and then set a strategy, of course. And of course, we want to know what the end result is going to be, because otherwise, how do we know we've even achieved it? We need to be able to measure it.
That makes sense, yes.
Yeah, so they're the first parts of the strategy. Next is, what actions do you need to take to achieve that outcome? So you've already mentioned a couple of them, but, perhaps drafting that daily schedule, including your morning and evening routine of the things that you need to do to achieve this. What exactly are those things? How long are they going to take you? What time are you going to do them? Keeping in mind, you might want some flexibility. It doesn't have to be super rigid. Then add all the important components to your calendar. So again, if it's in your head, it's likely to get forgotten or get mixed up with all of the other stuff that's in your head. So it must be on paper or, in your computer. It's got to be out of your head.
Right.
And then one of the first things on your list in the morning routine might be to set an alarm. So if that's what you're going to do, again, this is about getting specific, right? So you're setting an alarm and then maybe cueing some happy music for after that alarm goes off to make the transition from sleep easier. So that's just an idea of something that might be in that strategy. It might be setting alarms for snack time so that you don't work through them, or creating a space for your meditation practice, or scheduling weekly visits to the market and maybe bringing a friend along with you so that, again, you've got that accountability. I was just talking to someone this morning who was telling me about how she schedules in food prep on a Sunday. So that's an example of something you could do. Or even emailing your plan to your coach or your accountability buddy. So these are all things that, like, specific things that you need to do in order to help you achieve that overall goal that was something like, I want to be fitter, healthier, and stronger. So, of course, your plan naturally may differ from this, but the important thing is to be very, very specific and put those good intentions into action. So you're essentially taking responsibility rather than blaming external factors for the reason that you can't achieve this result.
That's, to a lot of people, this might seem like there's a lot of detail, but I guess the importance of that is that, on the other hand, we really want to reduce the number of decisions that we have to make each day, because we're already in overload with things that we need to decide. So when we can be specific like this, we take that burden off ourselves, and we already know what we're going to be doing. So perhaps all of us and our listeners in particular could just take a moment to consider this. Is there something you've wanted to do but you haven't yet done? We could ask ourselves, what's actually holding us or you back from doing this? And when you break it down, is it a reason or an excuse?
Mm.
Let's remember that taking small steps and asking for help is okay. And if you've got a legitimate reason for not being able to do something at the moment, that's okay too. But if you're tired of not achieving your goals, whether it's getting out of bed earlier or making a $100 million movie, let's endeavour to shift ourselves into cause. Take responsibility for getting the results that you want. You know, your future self is going to really thank you for doing this.
Yes, absolutely. And I can already think of certain things. And this goes to my point that we will shift in and out of cause and effect with different things in our life at different times. You know, even as we're talking about this, I can think of a couple of goals that I have and I'm going, okay, maybe it's time to revisit those and see if I'm holding myself back with an excuse or if there's a legitimate reason, or if it is an excuse, how can I take responsibility for that and shift my perspective and change something so that I can move toward achieving that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As Richard Bandler, the co-creator of neuro-linguistic programming, asks, who's driving the bus? Now, if you imagine our life as the bus, but the bus is hurtling along and we're in the back seat, then we're not in control, are we?
No.
But when we take responsibility, then we move from the back of the bus up to the front of the bus. We've got the steering wheel in our hands.
Yeah.
We're in control. And then that is a metaphor for us being in control of our own life.
Yeah.
In Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, he said, there's a space between stimulus and response. And in that space lies our power to choose our response. And in our responses lies our growth and freedom. It's pretty powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, incredibly powerful. And I love that word choice. You know, we have the power to choose. And of course, if you've been following along with our podcast, you'll recall that we speak about the power of our beliefs. You know, what we believe makes a difference in how we live our lives and the outcomes that we get from it as well. So when we take responsibility, we tend to be more successful and fulfilled. So reacting to events by saying, you know, she made me angry or he upset me, you know, puts us into that effect side of life. And we're essentially giving away our power to someone else. So changing your life's focus from from effect to cause may be as simple as making some goals and a strategy to implement this. You know, we always say, start simple, start small, because it is the small, consistent things that create the impact.
It's a good place to start, isn't it?
Absolutely. And to help you all with this, actually, we've got a free gift that we want to give anybody listening today. There's actually a free copy of our resource, 7 Simple Steps for Solving Any Issue. So it's a really fantastic tool that we've put together. We use this with our clients in our coaching sessions, and it really breaks down the steps to, you know, help you achieve any goal that you have or solve any issue that you might want to solve. So we're going to pop the link for that in the show notes today. And I encourage you to download that and use that to help you dive into that, get specific, and get you shifting out of effect into cause.
Yes, we know that a lot of people have used this resource to great effect in their lives. So let's all of us try to take back our power by living at cause and just remind ourselves to ask, what can we do to change our situation and take action? Your mindset and actions will shape your reality.
Yes, 100%. Always love that. Your thoughts create your reality as well.
Yes.
Okay, so we are coming to the end of the discussion today. We hope that you found it helpful and inspiring. But before we finish, let's just sum this up with the key takeaways today. So, number 1, Remember that you can take control of your life and achieve your goals by living at cause, or in other words, by taking responsibility for your actions and the outcomes that come from them. And number 2, we must all be honest with ourselves, and this might be the hard one, but are we allowing excuses to limit our success in life?
And the third point, I think it's easier to act when we are very specific about what it is we want to achieve, and we've got that detailed plan. And remember, when we live at cause, or in other words, when we take responsibility for our lives, we are taking back our power.
Yes, 100%. Okay, so let's all consciously make this decision to ditch the excuses, start getting the results that we want. And of course, we are here to support you if you need. So thank you so much for tuning into The Brain Changes. And remember, when you change your mind, you change your life. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Brain Changes. We hope you've enjoyed the conversation today. Please like and subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest episodes. Our mission is to reach as many people as possible to help them revolutionize the way they think so they can change their brain and create profound transformation. Please help us broaden our reach by sharing this episode with someone you know will benefit. And remember to tag us on socials at Moonbeam Monday and leave a review. And remember, when you change your mind, you change your life. We'll catch you next time for another episode of The Brain Changes.